The EUR-USD pair slides as the dollar strengthened ahead of the Fed minutes and Jackson Hole. The FOMC meeting minutes for July and the speech from Fed Chair Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole are the two major events this week that will influence the near-term direction of the dollar, and as a result, the EUR-USD pair. In this video, I'll share my expectations for these events and how they could pan out for the EUR-USD pair. But first, a quick recap of last week's performance, and then we'll look ahead to the week ahead. Last week, the EUR-USD pair started out with a bang, rallying to a high of 1.1360. However, the momentum quickly faded, and by the end of the week, the pair was trading back below 1.1300. The economic calendar wasn't particularly busy last week, but this week is shaping up to be much more eventful with several high-profile events taking place. First up is the publication of the FOMC meeting minutes for the July meeting. The market will be looking for clues about the timing of a potential rate hike and the plan for reducing the balance sheet. Any hawkish surprises could boost the dollar, while a more dovish set of minutes could weigh on the currency. Next on the agenda is the Jackson Hole Symposium. This annual event is one of the most important central banking events of the year, and it takes place from August to August. The theme of this year's symposium is Tantangan dan Peluang di Era Ketidakpastian. Several central bankers are scheduled to speak, including Fed Chair Jerome Powell, ECB President Christine Lagarde, and Bank of Japan Governor Haruhiko Kuroda. However, all eyes will be on Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech. His speech will likely provide further clarity on the Fed's policy intentions and could help to allay market fears of a disorderly taper. If Powell strikes a hawkish tone, the dollar could strengthen. However, if he signals a more cautious approach, the dollar could weaken. So what is the market pricing in for these events? Well, the market is currently pricing in a 78% probability of a rate hike in September according to the CME FedWatch tool. This represents a slight increase in the probability of a rate hike from a month ago, when the market was pricing in a 72% probability of a rate hike by September. As for the balance sheet reduction, the market is pricing in a 93% probability of a reduction of $15 billion per month starting in September. Now here's where things could get interesting. Last year, Powell gave a speech at the Jackson Hole Symposium in which he laid out his case for why the Fed should raise interest rates. This year, he is unlikely to make the same mistake twice, and instead, he is likely to focus on the balance sheet reduction and how the economy has progressed since the last meeting. In other words, he is likely to strike a more cautious tone this year, which could disappoint the markets and lead to a sell-off. What does this mean for the EUR-USD pair? Well, if the markets are expecting a more hawkish Fed than what Powell is willing to commit to, then we could see some volatility in the foreign exchange markets with the EUR-USD pair potentially moving higher. Of course, this is just one possibility, and there are many other scenarios that could play out. As always, I'll be watching the price action closely for signs of a move in either direction. And if you want to stay up to date on my latest analysis, be sure to follow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.